Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Welcome to Veterans Air, the Veterans Hour, your source for news, talk, and uncensored commentary here on your Lone Star Community Radio. I'm your host, Douglas B. You can listen to us live the first Tuesday of every month on veteransair.us and Conroe's very own FM 106.1 and 104.5, Facebook Live, YouTube, and wherever you get your fine podcasts. I want to remind everybody to tune in November 11th at 11 a.m. or thereabouts for our traditional Day in the Life of a Veteran for Veterans Day. As always, a little housekeeping before we get started today. You can contact Veterans Air through our website at www.veteransair.us. Leave us a message, or better yet, contact us in the studio via text on our Google phone, 936-344-3083. Since it's commentary today, I have to read the obligatory statement that says, the views and opinions in today's program are solely the views and opinions of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of this station, its programming, sponsors, or advertisers. Isn't that a great radio voice? I practice that in the mirror, just so you know. It's election day today, Texas, and we're not voting for the president. We're not voting for our senators or our congressmen representatives. Today, we have important votes, and you need to go out and vote. I have my voter registration card registering me as a constitutional anarchist. And since I'm a constitutional anarchist, we're going to talk today about what you're going to vote on via the ballot. So let's start unpacking that. You can view the sample ballot if you head on over to elections.mctx.org or follow the link below or above or on the side, wherever it is that Dick puts it. We're going to talk about constitutional amendments. These are amendments that are proposed to the Texas Constitution. And these are important, and they affect you personally. So let's unpack these. Proposition 1 establishes a fund for technical institution infrastructure and workforce education. This constitutional amendment provides for the creation of a permanent technical institution infrastructure fund and the available workforce education fund to support the capital needs of educational programs offered by the Texas State Technical College System. They want you to vote for a fund to fund this, but they don't tell you how long that fund is going to be or how much money they're going to take from your taxes for that. Proposition 2 prohibits taxes on capital gains for individuals, families, estates, or trusts. Capital gain taxes. Now, typically in the state of Texas, when you have a capital gains on your year, for that year you have capital gains, you have to pay tax on that. I know what you're saying. Doug, we don't have income tax here in Texas. That's true. But we do have a capital gains tax. Some counties more than others. But overall, the state collects capital gains. I know this because I had to pay it last year. This proposition will prohibit taxes on capital gains for institutions, for individuals, families, estates, or trusts. That's important. Proposition 3 denies bail under certain circumstances for felony offenses. So if you commit a felony in the state of Texas, this proposition will deny you bail under certain circumstances. Proposition 4 dictates part of sales tax revenue to the Texas Water Fund. This constitutional amendment to dedicate a portion of the revenue derived from state sales and use taxes to the Texas Water Fund and provide for the allocation and use of that revenue. That could be up to $3 billion every single year. Every single year, if this proposition passes and becomes an amendment, the state is going to take funds from the sales and use taxes and give it to this newly created Texas Water Fund that is supposed to provide for infrastructure, water usage, and things of that nature. And there's a lot of chatter on the internet about this, that they'll be taking water from rural areas, building infrastructure to pump it to urban areas. Whether or not that's true, I don't know, because it's very vague when you start researching this Texas Water Fund about what the funds are going to be used for and exactly how much of the sales tax is going to go to this Texas Water Fund. This is Texas. Everybody knows that water rights are of uber importance to individuals. We see the problem here in Conroe right now. Growth means less water. Less water means you have to ration your water. And we've had water rationing here in Conroe for the past several years. When you can water your lawn, when you can't. It's amazing that I can't water my lawn except for 2 days out of the week. However, we have golf courses that are lush green. Tell me how this works. Now, the rest of these, it's going to talk about an ad valorem tax. So we need to understand what this ad valorem tax actually is. It is a tax based on the assessed value of an item, property, or service. Let me say that again. This tax, an ad valorem tax, is a tax on an item, property, or service. If you're a businessman like I am, then every year you have to pay tax on the items that you have for that business. In my case, it's a computer, it's a server, it's this, that, and the other thing. For the company that I work for, EMW Productions, it's not only all of the office equipment and the technology, it's also the vehicles registered to that. An ad valorem tax is a tax for you to be in business or to have anything, have any property. Now, Proposition 5, as an amendment to the Texas Constitution, exempts ad valorem taxes on animal feed held for retail sale. That's a pretty good thing. There's feed stores all over the place. When I had my property, we were in agricultural because we had horses. So we had feed for those horses, hay, oats, and whatnot. Not only did we have to pay for that originally and pay the sales tax on that, each year if we had any left, guess what? We had to pay another tax just because we had a stockpile of it. And I will tell you this from personal experience, a horse doesn't care whether or not you're paying an additional tax on its hay. It just wants the hay. Proposition 6 prohibits occupation tax on certain securities transactions. This constitutional amendment prohibiting the legislation from enacting a law imposing an occupation tax on certain entities that enter into transactions conveying securities or imposing a tax on certain security transactions. Do you own any securities? Do you own any stocks? If so, they can tax you on that. This proposition, Proposition 6, makes that, it becomes a constitutional amendment that they can't tax you on the sales or trading of those securities. Proposition 7 exempts surviving spouses of veterans from an ad valorem tax on their homesteads. Now, I'm a veteran. I'm going to die before Petra because she's going to kill me. So if this Proposition 7 passes, she's not going to pay additional tax on our homestead. Will she still pay property tax? Yes. But the property tax is not just the tax on your property. It's schools tax, the Montgomery County Emergency System tax, this tax, that tax, the other tax. All those little taxes, Conroe ISD, those are ad valorem taxes. Your tax on that is based on what the tax assessor says your property is worth. Proposition 8 prohibits death taxes on property transfers. You're going to die. I know it's a shock, but you're going to die. When you die, you may leave your house, your property to your children. This, if it becomes Proposition 8, becomes an amendment to the Texas Constitution, will say that the death tax, this was called a death tax, is prohibited. They can't charge tax just because you inherited something. Proposition 9 exempts a portion of tangible property from ad valorem taxes for income production. Remember me telling you that I have a computer and a server and whatnot? Well, one of my computers is my personal computer, and I use it for business. This amendment would exempt that particular personal property from an ad valorem tax. Proposition 9. No, we just did that. We just did Proposition 9. We're on Proposition 10. Provides temporary tax exemptions for improvements destroyed by fire. Well, duh. I didn't even know we were doing this. So your house burns down and you build a new house, or your shed burns down and you build a new shed, they want to tax you on that. They want to. This Proposition 10 says that it's going to provide temporary tax exemptions for improvements destroyed by fire. I think that's a good thing. You've already had something burn up. Why would you want to pay tax to improve that? Proposition 11 increases tax exemptions for the elderly or disabled individuals' homesteads. I'm elderly and I'm disabled. You want to increase my tax exemptions on my property tax? Yes, please. Proposition 12 changes the structure and authority of the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. This constitutional amendment regarding the membership of the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, the membership of the tribunal to review the commissioner's recommendations, and the authority of the commission and the tribunal and the Texas State Supreme Court to more effectively sanction judges and justices for judicial misconduct. In a nutshell, Proposition 12 is saying we're going to do a constitutional amendment that makes it easier for these oversight tribunals, reviews, commission recommendations, authorities, and whatnot to sanction judges that are not doing the right thing, that have gone above and beyond what they're required to do as a judge and making political statements and things of that nature, or just because they're a bad judge. Proposition 13 increases the homestead exemption from 100,000 to 140,000. Thank you, yes. Increases the homestead exemption. We've talked about what a homestead exemption is, and I've encouraged you all to go out and make sure that you have a homestead exemption. Proposition 14. Now remember, these are constitutional amendments. Proposition 14 establishes a Dementia Prevention and Research Institute with a $3 billion fund. This constitutional amendment, providing for the establishment of a Dementia Prevention and Research Institute of Texas, establishing the Dementia Prevention and Research Fund to provide money for research on and the prevention of the treatment of dementia, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, and related disorders in the state, and transferring to that fund $3 billion, $3 billion from state general revenue. They want to do a constitutional amendment to create, first of all, the Dementia Prevention and Research Institute of Texas, and to fund that with $3 billion of state revenue. State revenue is your taxes. Who's going to vote no for this? Dementia's a bad thing. But are you telling me that there's not enough research currently going on through private institutions and big pharma and hospitals on dementia and Alzheimer's disease that Texas needs to throw $3 billion to do the work that's already being done? Something to think about. Proposition 15 affirms parental rights in decision-making for the children. Yes, I would say yes to that. It's my child. I get them to make the decisions of the child for the child. Not the child, not the teacher. Me, my kid. Brought her into the world. I can take her out and make another one look just like her. I can't believe you just said that on the radio, Dick. Proposition 16 clarifies that voters must be U.S. citizens. I was shocked that the Constitution does not already include this, that in order to vote, you have to be a U.S. citizen. But apparently, that's not true everywhere. There's an election going on today in New York City where they're going to elect a socialist. And I know that he's going to be elected because not just U.S. citizens are voting in that election. The city passed a law saying that illegal immigrants can vote in that election. So this proposition, if it becomes an amendment to the Texas Constitution, would say that cannot happen in the state of Texas. Proposition 17 exempts property tax for border security infrastructure in counties bordering Mexico. This constitutional amendment to authorize the legislature to provide for an exemption from ad valorem taxation of the amount of market value of real property located in a county that borders the United Mexican States that arises from the installation or construction on property of border security infrastructures and related improvements. That's a mouthful. Breaking that down, what this says is if your property is on the border between us and Mexico, and you build something that can be security, border security, you put up a fence, they cannot, if this passes, becomes an amendment, Proposition 17, that the tax on that fence would be exempt because you're doing something for border security. You're securing your property against illegals coming across the border. I would not necessarily have a problem with that, but that's just me. Now, where are we at time-wise, Dick? Oh, we're 20 minutes into the show. Want to take a break? Yeah, we're going to take a break. We're going to do a shout-out because I got to shout out to my sponsors. I have to give a shout-out to our show sponsor. Veterans Air is made possible by the support of East Meets West Productions, a full-service business and marketing consulting, helping vets start and fund their businesses for over 30 years. For more information, call 361-904-0044, and you tell them Veterans Air sent you over. I love everybody over there at East Meets West. I love Darlene. She actually still pays me while I'm here doing this show. Not working for EMW, but she's paying me to do this show, and she's paid me for a couple hours to put my show together. So thank you. Go see them if you're a vet and you need to start a business or need capital for your business. They have solutions for you. Give them a call. I also want to mention bitterglitter.us. Christmas is only 51 days away. Our friends over at bitterglitter.us, they have a sleigh load of new insulated travel mugs that you should check out. And they are big supporters of the show, as you know. So go check out bitterglitter.us. So, I need a drink. I'm parched. So, we were talking about today's election and the changes to the Texas Constitution. Well, for all of those of you that are residing within Conroe, we have propositions also to the Conroe Charter. And as I was putting this show together and I was researching some of this, I said, I definitely have to go vote. Regardless of what I'm doing today, I'm going to go vote. So changes to the Conroe Charter. Proposition A establishes a city council/manager form of government. Now, I called to see if I can't get an explanation of exactly what that means. Nobody could give me a coherent explanation of what this city council/manager form of government will be. Right now, the form of government that we have is a mayor and city council members. So this is a change to that, but we don't know what that change is. Proposition B requires agenda items requested by the mayor or two council members to be included in the regular agenda. Sure, why not? If the mayor or two city council members think that an item needs to be placed on the general agenda for the people of Conroe to know about, I'm all for that. I'm all for transparency. Proposition C specifies quorum requirements for conducting business. An amendment to the Conroe Charter to specify 3 city council members or 2 council members and the mayor shall constitute a quorum for conducting business, but that 3 affirmative votes of councilmen shall be necessary to take action, except that in the case of a tie vote, when at least 3 council members are present at the meeting, the affirmative vote of 2 council members and the mayor shall be sufficient to take action. Quorums usually work like this. If you have a 7-member board, 6 council members and a mayor, and you have more than 50% of the members there, that's a quorum. This is changing that quorum to be the 3 council members and the mayor. That makes a quorum. So when you think about this, you're going, well, so we have a mayor and we have council members, but we're going to change this to make the quorum be the mayor and 2 council members. They get to make a vote. I don't know about you, but those of us that run 501Cs, we have to have a specified quorum in order to get that 501C. And the whole reason behind a quorum is so that everybody's view, or the majority of the views, are expressed. Anytime you start limiting the amount of people that you have making up your quorum, that takes serious consideration of whether you want the mayor and the full city council to be able to vote and pass something, or if you're happy just having the mayor and 2 council members be able to pass something. Something to think about. Proposition D to the Conroe Charter outlines the nomination and confirmation process for city administrators and department heads. An amendment to the Conroe Charter specifying that the city administrator, deputy and assistant city administrators, police chief, fire chief, city secretary, city attorney, and all department heads shall be nominated by the mayor for any council member, or to be nominated by the mayor or any council member and confirmed by a vote of the majority of council. See how D affects C and C affects D? Now, you may not know this. You may have not been paying attention. But some of those positions, police chief, chief of the fire chief and whatnot, some of those are elected positions. Proposition D is going to say the mayor or the city council, members of the city council can appoint these people. Again, something that makes you go, Are you fact checking me over there, Dick? You should be. If you find something that I'm not interpreting correctly, I expect you to speak up. Because we're about truth here. We're about facts. Proposition E establishes nomination and confirmation processes for city boards and commissions. I started to unpack this to say what these nomination and confirmation processes will be, but it's entirely too much for this show. But know that they want to change the city charter to establish the nomination and confirmation processes for the city board and commissioners. If you haven't been to a town meeting lately, you really should come. Proposition F for changes to the Conroe City Charter sets compensation limits for the mayor and council members. An amendment to the Conroe Charter specifying that compensation for the mayor shall not exceed $400 per month and $300 per month for a council member, and that any approved increases in the compensation shall not be effective for any member of the city council during the term for which he or she was elected and or appointed. I did not know that the mayor only made $400. I did not know that. I did not know the council members only made $300. But what this is saying is, okay, this is the maximum that we're going to pay them. And if they vote for a pay raise, they can't vote, and they voted for a pay raise, that doesn't come effective until the next time there's a vote or an appointment of the city council member or the mayor. So unlike Congress and the Senate, who can vote a pay raise for themselves anytime they want to, this charter provision amendment is going to say, no, 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 no. You can vote for an increase, but it won't be effective while you're still in office. Proposition G clarifies the authority of the mayor and council members. An amendment to the Conroe Charter specifying that the member and individual council members have no authority to act except in their legislative capacities as part of entire council, and that they have no individual authority to direct administrative activities. That's an important one. And it makes you go, is that happening now? Proposition H designates the mayor as the emergency management director during disasters. Now, if there's a disaster, we do have a emergency management department here in the city of Conroe that takes care of that, and it works along with OEM for Montgomery County. This proposition is going to make the mayor the director of that during disasters. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Someone's got to be in charge. If we don't put somebody in charge, somebody like me could take over. Or Dick. Don't know. So let's clarify that. Proposition I requires financial certifications for candidates. Yes. Yes. Yes, I wholeheartedly support that. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on community radio, that I'm in support or against something. But yes, we want to know that the people that we're electing are financially secure so that they may not be tempted for graft or greed or payola or whatever you want to call it. Proposition J allows council members and the mayor to participate in health benefits. What? They don't have health benefits now? Dick, are you a city employee? I don't know if city employees have a health plan. But if they do, there's no reason why the council members and the mayor can't be part of that. They're working for the city. Proposition K requires recall petitions to specify alleged actions. Well, duh. If we're going to have a recall election, we want to know why we're having the recall election, right? Proposition L requires recall petitions to be signed by 15% of registered voters. An amendment to the Conroe Charter requiring a petition for recall to be signed by qualified voters of the city equal to the number of at least 15% of the number of qualified voters registered to vote in the last general election. So if somebody wants to have a recall election, and they're going to say, okay, this individual did these things wrong, he should no longer be a city council mayor or whatnot. And a petition goes around, and you have to have at least 15% of the registered voters vote for this recall. I'm not sure if that's the right number, 15%, but it seems awful low to me to have a recall election done. But what do I know? I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Proposition 11 reduces the number of city council members needed to call a special meeting. An amendment to the Conroe Charter decreasing the number of council members necessary to call a special meeting from 3 to 2. Now, as you know, or maybe you don't, I sit on a couple of nonprofit boards. And this is something that's in the bylaws of all of the boards that I sit on. They have to have regular meetings from whenever they say it is, once a year, a quarter, whatever it is. And they also can have special meetings. And you need at least, right now, you need 3 council members to call the special meeting. This amendment to the charter will mean you need only 2 council members to call a special meeting. Whether that's good or bad, who knows? But let me give you a real-world example. So one of the nonprofits that I sat on, that I do sit on, called a special meeting yesterday. 2 of the members called a special meeting because they needed authority to do something, to spend some money, to give monies to the Montgomery County Food Bank. Their bylaws say that they have to have a special meeting before they can disperse funds. So 2 members called a special meeting. And all the rest of us board members jumped on Zoom and we had the vote and it was good to go. I don't see a problem with this, of calling special meetings. 2 of the council members say, we need to have a special meeting about this. And all the other council members have to attend. Period. Proposition N deletes the provision for the Secretary of the City to be appointed as the Director of Finance. The City Secretary is the Director of Finance? Is she, Dick? I didn't know that. Apparently so, because Proposition N deletes that provision for the Secretary of the City to be appointed as the Director of Finance. Now, I'm sure whoever the Secretary of the City Secretary is a very competent individual. I'm not sure if that individual is competent enough to be the Director of Finance. I think we would want a finance person in that position. Just me again. Proposition O limits the amount of debt that can be issued without citizen approval. This amendment to the Conroe Charter, limiting the amount of debt which may be issued without approval by citizens through an election. Normally, the city takes on debt by issuing a bond, and the citizens have to vote on that bond. This puts into that charter, that clause in the charter that we can issue bonds, but it limits the amount of that debt that can be issued without first having a election saying, we want to issue a $100 million bond. Citizens have to vote on that first. There's a bunch of stuff still that you're going to be voting on in today's election for Montgomery County. It is important to note that if you live in a MUD, your taxes are going to increase, so be aware of what you vote for in these MUD districts. Not enough time in the show to read all the things that each individual MUD wants to do. But overall, on average, all of them are increasing through tax. Now, people don't normally turn out for this election. They usually turn out to elect presidents and senators and representatives and whatnot. But normally, these off-election years has low citizen turnout. But you need to go today. You really, really need to go today. And if you look at the show links on the bottom top side, wherever Dick puts them, it's going to give you links to the Montgomery County elections that'll tell you not only what district you're in, but where your polling places are, where you can go to cast your vote, and what hours of operation they are. Just for the sake of clarity, and I do have a couple of more minutes, it's only 1:40, I want to let you know when we're going to be electing normal election years. And that's next year in 2026. The U.S. Senate elections happen in 2026, and the Texas State Senate election for Texas will be held November 3rd of 2026. And this is to elect a member of the United States Senate to represent the state of Texas. So we're going to be voting for a senator next November. The primaries for that election are March 3rd, with a runoff held on May 26th if no candidate receives the majority of it. Incumbent four-term Republican Senator John Cornyn, who was elected in 2020, is running for re-election for the fifth term in office. Cornyn is facing a primary challenge from Representative Congressman Wesley Hunt and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. I know your mailbox has been flooded with stuff from the Cornyn campaign, but you, as an educated voter, need to look at Wesley Hunt and Ken Paxton to see what it is they think they're going to do as your next U.S. Senator. Senator Cruz is not running in 2026. He's 2028 is when we'll elect him again. And for the representatives, the elections in Texas will be held on November 3rd, of course, to elect 38 U.S. representatives, 38 congressmen from the state of Texas, one of all the 38 of the state congressional districts. The elections will coincide with other elections to the House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate, and local elections. Primaries for that will take place at a later date, not yet to be determined. But 38 of our congressmen are up for election next November. 38. Now, you need to pay close attention to that. In my district, our current representative is Morgan Luttrell. Congressman Luttrell has stated publicly that he is not seeking re-election for the next term. So somebody is going to be stepping up to run for his position as U.S. Congressman. It's going to be interesting to see who it is for both Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and constitutional anarchists who they are going to put forward. The Texas state legislators are elected during the general election on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November for even number years. So that means that our state, for the state of Texas, our representatives and our senators will also be elected November 3rd of next year. The Texas House of Representatives, all 150 members, are elected for 2-year terms. Seats are up for election in every even number year. The last election was in 2024, and the next will be in 2026. So you can bet that our current state congressmen will start also to be flooding your mailboxes if they choose to run. The Texas senators serve for a 4-year term, and their elections are staggered so that approximately half of the 31 seats are up for elections every 2 years. All 31 seats are up for election to account for newly redrawn districts. The terms are then divided by lot into 2 classes. One serves for 2 years, and the other serves for 4 years. So we've had new districts drawn. I'm sure you've heard about on the news how they're unfair and whatnot. You need to educate yourself before next year because your district may have changed. Your representatives may have changed. For the rest of the decade, election for these 2 classes of seats occur every 2 years in even-numbered years. The next Senate elections will be when? November 3rd, 2026. So you have a year to do your research and form your opinion of who you want to represent you in the state of Texas for your state representative and your state senator. Primary elections for state legislators are held in March of 2026 with runoffs in May if necessary. I'm at 45 minutes, aren't I? And guess what? We can do happenings, and we can close. I'm really good with my time. I practice in front of the mirror every day. I do. So a lot's happening in November. So in chronological order, on November 8th, 9 a.m., the Veterans Day celebration is at the Montgomery County Veterans Memorial, just down the road there. That's happening the 8th of November, not November 11th. The 8th of November is when Veterans Day will be observed at the Veterans Memorial. November 8th from 10 to 2 is the Main Street Market of Conroe, and that's here on North Thompson Street. That's between 10 and 2. It's the Main Street Market. Have you ever been down there? Okay. That's pretty good. They sometimes have some really good stuff. Definitely some good veggies and honey. That's where I get my honey. Friday, no. Where was I? It was 8th. November 7th through the 9th is the Montgomery County Holiday Extravaganza. And that's at the Conroe Convention Center, November 7th through the 9th. You'll probably see my wife there from Unique Gifts, Texas, selling her crocheted animals. We went last year. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good show. It really is. It really is. I didn't think that it would be, but it was a really good show. Friday, November 14th, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Ice House in Conroe. Let's come together to honor our nation's heroes with live music, a silent auction, a bake sale, and some good company. Plus, veterans get one free drink with a ticket, one free drink ticket with a military ID. You can come in and you show your military ID, your veterans card, whatnot, and you can get a free drink. All proceeds go to support VFW Post 4709, helping veterans right here in our community. So I might show up Friday, November 14th, between 3 and 7 p.m. at the Ice House. I have no idea where the Ice House is, but if you go to ours, you know. November 15th, between 12 and 4 p.m., the American Legion, Post 411, is having their first annual barbecue and raffle. I sent a graphic along with that. Dick, did you see it? Good. This is the first one that they're doing, and they're actually doing it at the American Legion Post 618 up in Willis. So it's between 12 and 4 p.m. The American Legion is having its first annual barbecue and raffle. They're selling barbecue plates for $10. It's to help that particular post do the things that it needs to do in the community. November 22nd. Now pay attention to this because this is a change from what's happened previous years. November 22nd, a photo shoot with Santa at VFW 4709. This year, it's $20 a pose for digital photos, and they will be available for download. This is a first-come, first-served basis. If you have any questions, please send them to event@vfw4709.org or on Facebook Messenger. This is a change to the way VFW 4709 has typically done it. We have typically asked for donations to have a photo with Santa. But this year, we have to charge for it. Why do we have to charge for it? Well, obviously, because last year, didn't get very many donations. November 27th, the VFW 4709 will do its traditional Thanksgiving dinner at the Post. If you have any questions, please send them to event@vfw4709.org or through Facebook Messenger. Every year, the VFW does Thanksgiving dinner. And The way we typically do this is the VFW will go out and get turkeys and hams, and one of our members will smoke them or cook them or whatever you do with turkeys and hams. And then everybody at the post, all members, will bring in something for a potluck type dinner. We've done this for decades. This year will be no different. Because this year we expect a lot of people, because a lot of people are going to be hurting because we don't have a government. Correction. We don't have a working government. I guess that's it. I'm done. Where am I at? I'm at 10:50. I can do my closing. I'll be right on time. I like being on time. I really do. You'll want to tune in on December 2nd at 1 p.m. for our next show. I haven't decided what the topic is going to be, but you know me. It's going to be informational and it's going to be entertaining. And don't forget to tune into this station on Veterans Day, November 11th at 11 a.m. for our Day in the Life of a Veteran Salute. I want to leave you with this song by our friend Sailor Jerry, and you can go download it on veteransair.us, iTunes, and wherever you get your fine music downloads. And while we listen to this, let us remember our brothers and sisters in uniform today that are standing in harm's way to stand for our freedoms and for our liberties. If you are wearing the uniform, I want to say to you, thank you. I want to say to you, I'm proud of you. And until next month, stay safe and stay vigilant.
You packed your bags and shut the door. You crossed the sea to fight a war. You didn't know just what would happen to ya. Stepped in the dirt, boots on the ground, and gunfire was the only sound. And to yourself you whispered hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Every day and every night, you walk the walk, you fight the fight. You never saw the end in sight, now did ya? The days are washing a haze of red, the blood, the mud, too many dead. Your weary soul was crying hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Too late to help you hear a shot. You know you're in a deadly spot. You never thought the day would come, now did ya? Your brother falls down to the ground. The enemy is all around, and from your lips you scream a hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You fought the fight till it was done. You have the strength to carry on. You thought it'd be much better back home, did ya? You try each day, keep pushing through, but the battle lives inside of you. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
A Lone Star Community Radio is ready for the summer. If you or anyone you know is looking for summer internship opportunities, a Lone Star Community Radio is a great place to grab the mic and be on the air. A Lone Star Community Radio offers a great opportunity to those interested in learning about the radio world all year round. Be an on-air personality, talk show producer, or YouTube, TV, podcast editor. Contact the station at info@irlonestar.com or call the station's